Hello recap lovers. Welcome to Mystic Recaps. In today's video, we'll watch a 2001 sci-fi fantasy film Donnie Darko. So, grab your popcorns and keep an eye out for spoilers. Donnie wakes up on the road in a Maryland suburb at the start of the film. He rides his bike home. His sister Elizabeth informs Dinner that he has stopped taking his medicine. Rose confronts him about it in his room after their argument. She goes after being asked to do so and being called a bitch by him. When the clock strikes midnight on October 2, 1988, Donnie wakes up after hearing a voice and starts to sleepwalk up the stairs. He steps outside and arrives at a golf course. He nods in agreement as the terrifying bunny-costumed guy informs him that the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. When Elizabeth walks inside, the whole home is abruptly demolished. The next morning, Donnie is awakened by the neighbors on the golf course. When he gets home, he discovers pieces of the aircraft that had collided with his home, particularly in his bedroom. The FAA investigators are unsure of its origin. He and his family are required to spend the night at the hotel. At school, he learns that the public is aware of him as a person who dodged death. Donnie is one of Miss Poirot's pupils in the class where she teaches Grand Green. In answer to a query on one of the stanzas, Eve responds that change comes about via devastation. Gretchen is instructed to seat next to the prettiest man she sees as she walks into the class. She chooses to sit next to Donnie. Eddie, Donnie's father, brings him to see Dr. Thurman. Eddie successfully applies the brakes in time to avoid colliding with an elderly lady. She moves toward a post office box with the name or Sparrow. Donnie exits the vehicle and walks up to the elderly person. She continues to say something to him. Donnie tells his doctor that he is acquainted with an imaginary person called Frank and that Frank recently informed him that the world was about to end. He hears Frank again when he awakens some days later. He attacks something while sleepwalking with an axe. The school has been flooded, and a bronze statue with the words "They forced me do it" engraved in front of it has an axe embedded in it. He finds that the school is closed as a result of this. On his way home, Donnie observes two men bullying Gretchen. As soon as he agrees to drop her off at home, they start to get to know one another better and start dating. Gretchen then leaves. He then receives hypnosis from Dr. Thurman, which unanticipatedly prompts him to talk about his thoughts of having sex with Christina Applegate. He starts to unzip his trousers, which forces Thurman to end the session. Donnie is accused of placing the axe into the statue and is attacked in a bathroom by another student who blames him for it. Donnie shoots bottles while hanging out with pals. They know his Sparrow, and the gang talks about the Smurfs. His friends refer to the elderly lady who was almost run over twice as Grandma of Death. Her mailbox being empty, she once again departs. It is made apparent that children are involved in the flood problem during the PTA meeting. Kitty Farmer organizes a demonstration against Miss Conroy's reading selection at the school. Meanwhile, Donnie confronts Frank in his lavatory regarding the flooding problem. He claims that they are in grave danger. He then starts to discuss time travel, but Samantha cuts him off. When Kitty Farmer, a professor, explains love and fear in class, Donnie gets into an argument with her and verbally abuses her. Due to this, the principal summons him and his parents, and he is suspended from school for 6 months. Dr. Montaff introduces the idea of time travel to Donnie and gives him Roberto Sparrow's, a book on the subject. They talk about time travel. Roberto Sparrow is shown to be the same elderly lady who spoke to him in a whisper and was a science instructor. Montaff goes on to say that she changed during the course of the night. Every living thing on Earth dies alone, the Sparrows murmured. Donnie reports to Dr. Thurman. Frank mentioned time travel, therefore he thinks Frank wants him to speak with Sparrow. He confesses that it made him think of his dog, Kelly, who passed away when he was 8, and he expresses his desire to not be alone. One day, as Donnie watches television, he notices tubes of fluid and light stretching from his family's chest and pointing in the direction they would go. Following his tube into his parents' room, he discovers a pistol kept by his father in a box. Donnie attempts to kiss Gretchen while claiming that they had been dating for 2 weeks, but she rejects him since a fat guy stares at them. Returning home, Donnie carves Frank's image on a pumpkin as Elizabeth and Donnie prepare for Halloween. Eddie and Rose both contacted Dr. Thurman to find out what was wrong with their kid. She reveals that Donnie is having daytime hallucinations and is a paranoid schizophrenic. Meanwhile, Donnie grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs at a mirror that reveals Frank on the other side. Cunningham is asked to speak in the school assembly, when he provides counsel to other students who have raised worries to him, Donnie makes fun of him. Then, on a date with Gretchen, he speaks about his time travel dreams and how he wishes he could go back in time and prevent terrible things from happening in their lives. He also explains the theory of time travel to her and informs her about Grandma of Death. Next, they go to view Grandma of Death, but she does not answer the door. The two went to the post office to check at the empty mailbox. However, they notice that she is watching them from her balcony. When Donnie inquires about time travel, Monotov refuses to discuss it for fear of losing his job. Miss Conroy changes the book to Watership Down from the Destructives as a consequence of Kitty Farmer's objection. Miss Conroy hands out the book in class and whispers in Donnie's ear that he may read it with Frank. Donnie explains to Dr. Thurman about the book and the things that he feels are true. He finds Cunningham's wallet with his address on the way to school. Two guys verbally assault Gretchen in Manita's class while she and Donnie explained a project. Gretchen is distraught and flees. Donnie, on the other hand, follows her. They exchange passionate kisses. Gretchen falls asleep at the theater while seeing Evil Dead, and Frank appears. Donnie requests that Frank remove the bunny costume, which shows a young adult with a significant damage to his right eye. Frank orders Donnie to set fire to Cunningham's home. Donnie leaves Gretchen sleeping in the theater. Meanwhile, Cunningham and Kitty Farmer are running a program at their school. Donnie arrives at Cunningham's house and burns it before returning to the theater. They kiss each other as Gretchen wakes up. Miss Conroy is asked to leave school due to her story selection. In the mansion's hidden chamber, Cunningham has been arrested after firefighters find a kitty porn dungeon. Sparkle Motion, the school's dance team, is invited to Los Angeles to compete on Star Search. Katie Farmer, a friend and ardent supporter of Cunningham, begs that Ross accompany the team because she is in charge of Cunningham's public defense. Because Eddie is abroad on business, Rose grudgingly accepts. She asks Elizabeth to look after Donnie. Dr. Thurman hypnotizes Donnie once more, and he admits to flooding the school and torching the Cunningham's home. Dr. Thurman requests more. He claims that all will come to an end very soon. She wakes him and raises his medicine dosage. He leaves as she says. He is not atheist, he is an agnostic. Donnie and Elizabeth plan to hold a Halloween party in honor of Elizabeth's admission to Harvard. Gretchen's mother mysteriously vanishes that night. She has nowhere to go for protection other than Donnie's place. Donnie consoles her, and they kiss. Furthermore, they ignore phone calls from Dr. Thurman and Rose, who call to inform them that Sparkle Motion has won the Star Search competition and that the team will be flying home that night on a red-eye flight. Donnie sees the flowing light tunnels once more. At midnight, he discovers that there are only 6 hours till the end of the world. Donnie persuades Gretchen and two of his pals to accompany him to the residence of Grandma Death. The high school's resident bullies assault them as soon as they arrive, assuming she is related to Frank. Elizabeth's boyfriend Frank, who is on his way to their Halloween party, hits and kills Gretchen when she is flung into the road. Frank is dressed in the same frightening rabbit suit as Donnie's vision. He then kills Frank by shooting him in the right eye with his father's revolver. Then, after grabbing the keys from a sleeping Elizabeth, he drives into the hills above town, taking Gretchen with him. Donnie notices a time tunnel building over town. Rosen's red-eye aircraft suffers turbulence through the time tunnel. One of the jet's engines malfunctions and falls into the tunnel. As he drives inside the time tunnel, Donnie glances fondly at Gretchen. Donnie is lying in bed, chuckling. On October 30th, in the early morning hours, a jet engine from the red-eye flight falls through the roof, killing him. Kitty Farmer, Jim Cunningham, Dr. Thurman, Mr. Monotov, and Frank are all disturbed and depressed at the same time. Gretchen bikes to the Darko's residence in the morning. As Donnie's body is removed, Elizabeth, Eddie, and Samantha sob. Rose smokes to distract herself from the painful discussion she had with her disturbed son only a few feet away. Gretchen, who has never met Donnie, learns what occurred and who the family is from a small kid in mourning waves to Rose, and Rose, touched by a stranger's active generosity, waves back. That's the end of the movie, Donnie Darko. Keep checking back to Cinema Sins for more entertaining movie recaps. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to our channel and let us know what topics you're most interested in so we can create more content that you'll love.